This is Ball on Blast, Raps post-game playoff edition. Part of the On Blast podcast network. Available on iTunes, SoundCloud and YouTube. If you like it, then subscribe and tell your friends. Holla.
We are live. This is the Ball on Blast podcast, Raps post-game edition. Wow, fellas, that was a game.
Oh, the Cleveland's been off for what? Less than 24 hours?
Yeah, they played
maybe
Sunday.
10 hours rest?
Sunday and had to travel to Toronto.
Exactly. So maybe 10 hours rest you got.
Yeah.
So the Raps are fresh. Mm-hmm. That should be a 20-point blowout.
It should be.
It should be, but it's not because it's LeBron. Now you're back to square one for game 2.
And LeBron is a problem, as we know. The Raptors, for sure, I think they blew that game easily. I mean, we're seeing clips come in right now from Dwayne Casey. And Dwayne Casey, one quote here, he says, I don't know if it was nerves or yips or what. Things that just
what is a yip?
that just shot ourselves in the foot.
What is a yip?
No, he knows.
You know what a yip? I don't know what a yip is.
He's just saying, you knew.
I understand.
Basically, it's a different way of just saying they got tight in the moment.
Yeah, but you know, it's 4 years now,
Yeah,
right?
true.
And you know, Paul Pierce first was Paul Pierce at Brooklyn and then Washington, grabbed you guys by the balls and said, "You're not beating me."
Big time.
Right? Then you overcame that. You beat Paul George in the first round. Tough series. Then you beat Miami. Then you go to the Eastern Conference Finals. At some point, you got to get over that, right?
I agree with you. Yeah. I agree with you. But you know, what do you guys think about the fact that, you know, at the end of the day, you saw one of the greatest players coming off of an amazing series, but it wasn't even necessarily LeBron that was killing the Raptors down the stretch, was it?
You're right.
Nah, Kyle Korver. What do you have, like 19?
Yep. Yeah, 19.
J.R. Smith.
J.R. Smith had like 20. What were we saying? Like 11 for 16 from 3-point?
Yep.
Yeah, like as I go through the Cavs team here, you got J.R. Smith with 20 points, Korver had 19, Jeff Green came off the bench with 16, Tristan Thompson put up 14 and 12.
And this is why I'm saying the difference. It's okay to have LeBron score 45, but we all know LeBron's passing ability is that much greater where it's not just 45 he's scoring. Yeah. He's getting people involved.
He's getting everyone involved. He had a triple-double.
How
many assists did he have? Probably like
He had 11 assists.
LeBron James, yeah, he had 13 assists and 11 rebounds.
You're right, but at the same time, on a fast break, you're playing fast break defense against these Cavs. Mm-hmm. You can't lose LeBron James. One, you can't lose Kyle Korver.
Scouting report, yeah, for sure.
If you're gonna lose, if you have a choice between guarding Tristan Thompson, big up Brampton, and Kyle Korver on a fast break, you have to take Korver.
100%.
You give up the 2
Yeah.
to stop the 3.
Yeah.
100%. Even if J.R. Smith's on the court with LeBron and Korver, you got to watch both of them.
Yeah.
That's what it is. LeBron's your third option of those two, especially if
You're
you're
right.
down like that, right?
What about the game that JV had? I know JV, he started out well. He had a really good game, but then down the stretch,
He just showing
the yips.
You got the Lithuanian yips.
You know what? Honestly, that just shows. I hope that just shows the rest of the Raptor faithful.
Yeah.
That this kid can play ball if we use him effectively.
Yeah, he's been showing
He's
that.
showing that.
But yeah.
Regular season now, when they ice him out and they don't pass him the ball,
This is
come
what
on.
happens.
That's the
This is
thing.
what happens.
That's
And I think the same thing happened. What happened with Van Fleet? With the same thing that happened with DeRozan. You took him out. This is your starting center. He is probably the biggest mismatch going up against these Cavs because he's bigger than Tristan, and he's bigger than Kevin Love.
Yeah.
He's the biggest mismatch you have.
True.
Yeah.
So you take him out end of the third quarter. No problem. Give him a rest. He's a big man. You got to give him a rest.
Yeah.
Took him out, I believe, with 3 or 4 minutes left in the third quarter. Fourth quarter, you're still running with Pirtle.
I think in a
Right?
game.
When the man's 20 and he was 20 and 20 at that point.
Do you know what I find so interesting? Because obviously throughout the whole season, the big conversation has been about what do you do with the bench? Do you continue to run your 10 deep that you're running throughout the entire regular season? Or do you switch it up and, you know, figure out who your 8 guys you can trust and roll with that? And I know everyone said, okay, you got to roll with the bench because that's what you did. But
have to.
in the playoffs, I feel like you run into tough situations because in the regular season, what you can do is, hey, this guy's hot, and you kind of feel it out, right? And you can say, I'm going to roll with Fred a little longer here because Fred's got it, and I'm going to roll with it. But you can feel it out, and you can be wrong, and it's okay because it's a regular season. But in the playoffs, you don't really have that. Like, you can't be wrong.
I think in
Those mistakes are magnitude.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think in a game in a series like this, we're pretty much for the Raptors, like Kyle Lowry said, you got to treat every game like a game 7. You got to go with a solid 7-8 players.
But you can say whatever you want pregame, when the mic's in your face. You got to have balls and do that shit on the court.
So true. So true.
But the other thing, like we were watching the game together, obviously, right? And I said before the fourth quarter ended, and they brought back in Fred VanVleet. They brought him in right at the end for a last-second shot, and it's like that's completely
bad
unfair.
shoulder?
That's unfair. Yes, so you're bringing in your bench guy, your undrafted free agent bench guy, and I know that he proved to be an important part of your team. I know that, and I get that, and I understand that. But at the same time, like, you're bringing a guy cold who's injured off the bench to hit the game-winning shot, not once but twice. And then after you watched overtime, you saw that you had no ball movement. The Cavs made an adjustment and put Lowry on LeBron because they knew what the Raptors were going to try to do, because Raptors do this all the time. Whoever's guarding Lowry will just set the pick for DeMar, and then they switch. So the Cavs countered that and said, okay, cool, we'll put LeBron on. We'll put LeBron on Lowry and let's see what you do.
LeBron on the main ball handler.
Exactly, and the Raptors had no counter. Like, how... I don't know. To me, it was a bad move to rely on Fred.
You can't be scared.
Why is it?
The man is tired.
LeBron?
LeBron is tired.
Why is there?
He fought through it, but he's tired. So if he's guarding you, make him run.
Yeah.
I think the Raptors got the best shot possible
No.
at the end
No.
because
Yo, it's a good look. He just missed it.
It's a good look, but again, too, VanVleet shouldn't have been shooting that.
You didn't need. You ran the clock down. You didn't need a 3.
It's
You're
dog
only
time.
down 1.
It's dog time.
DeRozan DeRozan beat his man. I thought you're the best mid-range shooter.
Thank you. And I
Right?
was just about to say,
Right? You're the best mid-range shooter in the NBA.
Raptor fans, I want you guys to really, really pay attention to the game right now.
Yeah, 100%.
That game was the difference between being a superstar in the NBA and just being an all-star.
We said it.
Superstars don't pass up that shot and give it to a teammate unless he's wide open. Unless he's wide open. VanVleet wasn't necessarily wide open.
He was wide.
DeRozan is
He
the
was
best
he was
mid-
wide open.
in the game.
He was
Doesn't pull up right
you're right.
there.
He was wide open, but you gave it to him with point something seconds.
Thank you.
It's added pressure
Nah,
from
you
a guy
gave
that
it-
just came
nah,
back on the bench.
You gave it to
You
me.
shoot that elbow
They
jumper.
They gave it to him when he got in the lane and you realized he didn't have a shot.
Yes,
But
exactly.
he had a shot because he beat his man, and he drove into traffic.
A lot of DeMar's moves is like he's passing because he had to.
Yeah.
Right? Like it wasn't a thing
He
where
put himself in a position to do that.
For sure. Again, I just think that's a tough place to put Freddie in. And if he hits it, great. But like literally, even if you go back to the Detroit
or
game,
Kyle Lowry
remember?
has to take that shot.
Hold on though. Remember the Detroit game, right? When DeMar had that coast to coast dunk to tie it, to send it to
Right.
overtime, and it was Freddie that hit the big shot in overtime to ice it. So like VanVleet's been there in that moment for them before. I just think it's tough to bring him off the bench like just for the last play. That's
It's true.
tough.
It's
And that's what
extremely hard.
that's what I mean in terms of how you got to play your bench, because you have, it's almost like it's a curse because you have too many options, right? Instead of just knowing like, no, these are my 8 guys that I trust. In this moment, this is who I'm going with. It's like we saw Serge was in there for a bit, then they put CJ in there for a bit, and then you're putting in Fred for the last second play.
But why is CJ in the game so many
Because-
times in the play though?
No,
He
you
can
know what?
shoot.
You know
They
what?
need
Because-
shooting, and they can't
because
shoot. It's only
Yes, but
Lowry that
I
can
see them- I
shoot.
see them in the game
There's no 3-point
on a
shooter.
lot of defensive. Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand it. Like you have OGF Siakam.
They didn't play offense defense, and the problem is because the worst defender who was on the court in crunch time is DeRozan,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
and that's why you can't put VanVleet back in the game. If you put VanVleet and Lowry, and then DeRozan, who's DeRozan guarded?
That's true.
Right? Love gave him the business when they tried that.
Yeah.
You're not putting him on LeBron,
They went to look back to
and you're not putting him on Tristan.
It's true. They went to him back-to-back possessions when DeRozan was
So
hurt.
DeRozan's either got to step up.
Yeah.
Like that. Like you know what? Every year DeRozan's come back. He got I guess a little more confident shooting the 3-point this year.
Yeah.
I don't think he was a better 3-point shooter, but he got a little more.
He just started shooting.
He got more confident shooting the 3.
Yeah.
Next year, it's got to be defense because that's what right now DeRozan's a top 20 player in the NBA.
And every year,
But he's probably like 17, 18.
You're right. And every
Gets
year,
better.
DeRozan gets better. He comes back
gets
with
better
something
every
new.
year.
Yeah,
But that's what's
I'll
missing.
give him that.
So
That's what's missing.
Defense is what's missing.
That's what's missing.
But how do you just become like? Like I've always thought this, and obviously I've never played basketball at any form of high level at all. But isn't defense just effort? Like
It
seriously,
is, and it is.
do you know what I mean? Like
It very much is.
Do you know what I mean?
Very much is.
It's effort and positioning. You know,
He's too laid back. Even on offense, he's too laid back.
Okay, so here's my one thing, right? Like DeMar, and I think I said it while it happened because I think Bomani pointed it out on Twitter, right? We talk so much about the Raptors shooting threes, and now they're a 3-point shooting team, and DeMar can shoot threes. And it's like, yeah, they can shoot threes. It doesn't mean that you're good at shooting threes. And I think that's why CJ ends up playing so much, right? Because you need a knockdown shooter. And other than Lowry, and I don't know what happened to Lowry down the stretch, but he just took the only time he shot was that weird
one three in the last 6 minutes, and it was a bad three.
It was a bad
But
three.
that's his game. I'm
was
so
a bad
surprised
three.
he didn't take more. Just come up with the pull-up three.
Yeah.
He didn't even do that.
It's crazy, right? What did you guys make of just the adjustments in terms of Ty Lue? I mean, Tristan obviously was a key factor in Game 7. That was his first real appearance that we saw him in, and then he came off the bench in this game, but he was a factor. He's a factor again in his hometown, hostile environment, and the crowd's chanting Chloe at him.
I think
How'd Tristan do?
I think for the first time this playoffs, Tyronn Lue won the coaching battle.
Oh,
Thank you. I
that's
agree.
sad.
And that's sad. That's very sad.
Was it Tyronn Lue or was it LeBron?
Could be both.
Right?
Whoever made the call, right? It was whoever made the
Tyronn
call.
Lue won his first coaching battle.
Ty Lue.
It's kind of like what you were saying, offense, defense.
Yeah.
Let's do matchups. He won that battle. He won that battle. But Tristan Thompson can ball. We know this.
Yeah,
For
we know
whatever
Tristan
reasons
can
he
ball.
wasn't playing in the Washington series. For whatever reason.
But this is
Yeah.
what I said. Like Drake, get on your horse, bro. Go
Yo.
find the 2 girls from the TMZ video. You don't need Chubbs. Don't need to be at the Chubbs can go sit in share club.
Yeah.
Put those 2 chicks courtside. Let them have your seat. You go sit in share club too, because I don't like you either.
You need the brand
You're just
ambassador.
gonna
What's
use
it
that.
doing?
Why were you
No,
mad at
come
Drake
on,
for?
man.
Why you mad at
You
Drake
don't need
for?
to- You don't need to be there, bro.
Is that
Hold
what
on.
I'm hearing? The
You
brand ambassador
You
wasn't
don't
doing
need.
his
You don't
job?
need. You don't need to rile up the opposition and give them a focal point to rile them.
The one thing I will say
Put
though,
the 2
like,
chicks courtside.
Get him involved.
Make sure the cameraman shows them. Maybe even get Tristan in the shot with them,
That's low
so
blow.
he has to worry about the call
No pun.
that Chloe's gonna get. You know what I mean? He's gonna get the call from Chloe.
Hold on.
And he's gonna be prung, and you take him out the game. Like, you gotta get, yo,
The man's talking about some underhanded.
come on now. You know we were all like,
Yo, listen.
I could name some other names. No,
Hey, whoa, whoa.
Cleveland's been in town a couple days now.
Listen. This
Where are all you
This
that
should
go
be
to
hostile
that go to the
environments for anybody that's from the Cleveland area.
that go
in
to
this
the
city.
Mona parties? Where are all of you? Those boys could have been tired. They should have been until 4 a.m. They should have been tired. Get on your grind.
Listen, man, listen. Yeah, this is like this is entering some
Let him go. Let him go.
some
Let him
touchy
speak his
spots
mind.
here,
If the
man.
Raptors ain't gonna do it on the court, we need our Toronto people to do it on the court.
Here's the
Six
one
man,
thing I will
right?
say.
6 man.
Here's the one thing I will say. I saw the shot of Drake and Kendrick Perkins. I don't think you want that smoke, Drizzy.
Don't
I'm
want
just
it,
saying,
bro.
like, Kelly Oubre might be one thing. Kelly Oubre might be a dude that'll allow you to call him a bum on national TV. Or Drake called Tristan a waste man last year on TV.
That's
Like,
crazy.
certain men's might tolerate that garbage. I don't think that Kendrick Perkins is that guy.
Kendrick
there,
Perkins
bro.
is there for the smoke.
It is signed Kendrick to put him in the game.
I think we got to do everything and anything within our power
Yeah.
to even make this a series.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, because like LeBron has the Raptors figured out
Yeah.
easily, and he's coasting.
Yeah.
He's
But
coasting.
it's not only
He is.
LeBron. It's not only LeBron.
But it's not only LeBron
Because Tristan was there.
yeah, Tristan was
Kyle
balling.
Korver was there.
Yo, Kyle Korver hit
No?
some big shots.
Kyle
man.
Korver was there.
huge shots.
And that's
for
the thing too, right? So if you look at how the Cavs are, right? LeBron is the only one really that can break down and create shots, but their knockdown shooters are J.R. Smith, Kyle Korver, Kevin Love, and Love didn't make shots, but the other 2 guys did. And when you transfer that to the Raptors, we're told that the Raptors are a better 3-point shooting team, but it's not the same.
not
Like
looking like
there's
that.
levels to it, right?
looking like that.
It's not looking like that at all. Do you like how important now is? I know this sounds like an obvious question, but how important now is Game 2? Like,
Must win.
Every game is important.
Every
But-
game's important.
Every game's important, but
do they have a chance at all if they lose Game 2
No.
and go back to Cleveland
Not a
down 0-2?
They're
Do they
0
have a
9.
chance?
Not a
Back to the queue. They're 0 9.
and you know what? And you know what?
I
I'm
couldn't
going
get
to
the
say
question out
it.
without laughing. I couldn't get it out with a
And
straight laugh.
I'm going to say it here. I don't even want a 3-point win. I don't want an overtime win by 1.
Hold on, let's keep it 100.
Game 2.
I wanted them to blow out the Cavs
Game
tonight.
What's
has
supposed
to
to
be
be
a
a
only
20
way.
point.
That's the only way
It
the
was
Raptors
supposed
win.
to be a 20 point.
Because I
But
asked
it's done.
you guys,
Game 2 has to be a blowout.
has to be.
I asked you guys a question, and I didn't even
blow
answer
them
the
out.
question. I didn't even answer the question myself, but I asked you guys before. What were you guys thinking heading into this series? And for me, every single person, I haven't wavered. People that listen to the Ball on Blast podcast, shout out to Webby if you're watching, my dude. I said the whole year, I will not believe that the Toronto Raptors will beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in the playoffs until I see it. I just can't say that, hey, yes, I'm taking the Raptors to beat them. And I was stunned. The Raptors are odds-on favorites in Vegas, right? Like, people were feeling very confident. And then
They
you
have
see
no-
a performance like
they have
this,
no-
that's
they have-
worrying.
They have no dog. You can tell too. When you look at both huddles, LeBron just looks composed. He's been here before. It's regular.
is.
He knows what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
Tyronn Lue doesn't even have to say nothing. He already knows what he's gonna do. If you look at the Raptors huddle now,
Yeah.
His face.
it's confused faces.
what's
Yeah.
What's the play, coach?
Lowry's
true.
looking down. DeMar's looking somewhere else. Offensive
They're-
space.
No, they're
no
both
communication.
both
Not-
sitting down, and there's no words coming out of their mouth.
Yeah.
Not communicating with each other.
Right?
No, it's very true. It's very true.
So like, I understand Casey's the coach, but who's the leader on the court?
It's Kyle and DeMar. It's got to be Kyle and DeMar. Those are the guys. We did an interview.
but they're
We
not
did an
showing that,
interview.
though.
The leader is supposed to be Kyle.
So I did this thing with. I work. If people new to the podcast, whatever. I work on a show called Tim and Sid. I put together an interview a couple weeks ago that Tim McAuliffe did with Dwayne Casey, and Dwayne Casey was talking about the maturity and the growth of Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan as leaders, right? But within that, he did make sure to mention that, you know, a big part of this season was implementing the new guys and getting Kyle and DeMar to compromise and buy in with how much they use those guys. And I wonder, you know, how tough it is to play that fine line because, again, we're talking about Fred VanVleet. You're relying on him to hit 2 big shots, whereas, you know, you said it. Your star, you know LeBron is, if he's not taking the shot, he's making a play to get someone a wide open look. Whereas the Raptors down the stretch struggled hard. That's worrying. If you're playing close games against the Cavs, you just saw Indy. Indy just had to go home because they couldn't beat the Cavs in close games, right? Do the Raptors, what do they do? Was there an adjustment to be made? Maybe a different sub or, you know, DeLon and you let the bench cook for longer? Did the bench cook? You know what I mean? It's a very tough spot the Raptors are in right now. If I'm Raptor fans, I'm worried because that's not a good sign. This was a game that you needed to win, and you didn't do that.
I don't think you make too many adjustments if you're the Raptors.
Yeah,
I don't think you make too many adjustments. I think it's the playoffs, man.
yeah,
Like Ola said, superstars and all-stars. That's just what it is. If you're a superstar, you're not letting the game get that close. You're not letting the game go to your hand.
yeah,
We have 2 all-stars on the team, DeRozan and Lowry. Therefore, the last 5-6 minutes, when the game's close, the ball should be in 1 or 2's hand.
yeah.
Right? The offense should go through 1 or 2. The playmaking should go through 1 or 2. Let's not have a playmaker go through C.J. Miles or someone else. Just to say a name out there, right?
Yeah.
You got this is what it is. This is what you're getting paid the big bucks for, right?
For sure.
So we'll see. I don't think they have to make too many adjustments.
The other thing too, hold on. The other thing too, because I know you're about to just crush the Raptors even more. So I'm gonna ask you a question now. No, am I wrong? Are you not gonna? Were you not about to crush the Raptors even more?
I wasn't going to crush them. I was just going to point out.
Well,
some
here's
obvious.
all I was gonna say. All I was gonna say is, do you not overreact? Because at the end of the day, okay, you lost game 1, but it's only game 1. Right? You just win on your home court. You take back home court advantage. But also the fact that you missed like 5 layups to win the game. Like, do you take that in the fact that, you know, you don't want to overreact because the reality is, hey, if one of those tip-ins go in, you're up 1-0. Cool. It was a tough game. You almost blew it, but you won. Like, you were that close. So do you kind of reside in that fact, or you're just depressed?
No, because they missed layups. They missed uncontested layups. and putbacks.
Yeah.
At the rim.
Yeah.
Your 7-footers trying to finger roll. Like I told you guys earlier, the only 7-foot player that should ever finger roll in the NBA history is Akeem Olajuwon. Okay.
The man did say
Everybody else should dunk the goddamn ball.
Yeah, JV, that was tough, man. And it's tough because you don't want to crush JV too much because obviously he had a nice game. I'm looking it up right now so I don't mess it up. Yo, 21 and 21.
21.
That's a monster game. I don't know if I've ever seen JV put up a stat line like that. Like, that's a beast.
Definitely. But
Big
like I
man.
said, if you would have had 23, 25, 27,
Do you know what I always think
we're
of?
smiling right now.
Do you know what I always think of? I always think of, do you remember the ESPN 30 for 30 winning time? And there's a part in the middle of it where Ahmad Rashad is talking about, you know, there's good players in the NBA. Everyone can play basketball that's in the NBA, obviously, right? There are all-stars, and then there's superstars. And the thing that separates people is what you do in winning time. And I think like this game was kind of the perfect way to look at that because it's like JV had a great game, but then in winning time, you get a little tight. You know, DeRozan, winning time, got a little tight. Even the putback that he had, he kind of rushed that.
Yeah.
Right? He kind of rushed that, and he had
I'll
way
give-
more
I'll-
time.
He was falling backwards,
Yeah.
so I gave him a pass on that play.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, in winning time, you know, again, you pull up for a jump shot from the elbow, it goes in or it doesn't go in, but you walk away with your head high because your superstar, your best player, took the final shot.
Thank you.
I'm going to take a second to say what's up to some people who are here. I see what up to BBC Can HG Andrew.
That's my boy Miller.
Shout out. I see Prawley Johnny. Shout out to you as well.
John Jay, what up?
Yes, sir. So people keep coming through. If you're watching on Twitter, you can click the link on Twitter and you get a better link that puts you through the Periscope. So if you're on Twitter, you find that, click the link on Twitter, and you get a better window, and you can comment with us, ask questions, answer questions. We'll answer the questions.
We will.
We'll keep it coming. More post-game reaction coming through as it happens. We get Adrian Wojnarowski, who says he has a text message to ESPN. Kendrick Perkins says, what happened was I was talking to my old teammate, Serge Ibaka, walking to halftime, telling him we about to win this game, and Drake butted in talking shit to me. So I said something back to him.
Perk is the wrong one. You don't want, listen,
Keep that
listen.
same
I'm gonna tell you
energy.
this from right now, man. I'm gonna tell you this from right now. You don't want that smoke, man.
You don't want those
You don't
problems
want
with
that
Perk.
smoke, man.
Same
That's
energy.
Beaumont's finest right there. You don't want that smoke. Man. I'm telling you.
I swear, I love the fact that they just brought Perk in for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Just like, who was it? It was Dante Jones before, right?
Jones.
And he came in and he got a technical foul. And,
Yeah,
and
protection.
hold on,
Come on,
his technical foul was more than the money he was going to make. For the rest
And I bet and Brown paid that,
Yeah,
though.
yeah, yeah. Brown paid it. Yeah, yeah. They
And
paid
Brown
it.
paid that.
They paid it for him. They paid it
that.
for him. But that's just amazing. I mean, Perk is Perk, but I was telling people, I had this conversation as well, and I want to get you guys' take on this. Drake is a courtside fan. It's funny. It's cool. It was a thing when the Raptors weren't that popular and, you know, they got on ESPN. It was a big deal. Now that they're actually good, him talking trash to John Wall, okay, whatever. Him calling Kelly Oubre a bum, whatever. I swear I had this conversation with people where I was saying, please do not talk trash to LeBron James because we don't need LeBron James with any added motivation or any added chip on his shoulder or trying to show off to Drake. Like, we don't need any extra shenanigans. It's
Pick your
LeBron. Just let the man. Yes,
Pick your
yes.
battles.
You think so?
No, I do not need.
man.
Yo, do you hold on? Do we not remember? Was it Bosch's girl? Was it Bosch's girl? Was this Bosch's? Was it?
No, but you know what? You know what? But
we can't talk. Hold
I
on,
want
we
it from
can't
the
talk smack to
players.
Kelly,
I want it
and
from
then
the
one
players.
series and talk smack to John Wall, and then just because LeBron, your boy, comes into town, we nice off the tops, we lock it off. That shows fear, bro.
no, but you know he's joking. He's joking
That's
behind the
man boy
scenes,
stuff.
and he's friends, and they're gonna be
We want
they're
all
gonna
the
be
smoke.
they're gonna be hugging on the flow caravana time, and you don't want all
You
you
know
know.
the views I get on Facebook from these quote unquote Raptor diehards.
Yeah. So you think it's fine? Let Drake talk his smack. I see your point.
talk,
That's an
let him
interesting
talk
point.
his smack.
That's an interesting point.
But sometimes
Kelly
you gotta pick and
Oubre
choose,
is not
man.
a threat.
LeBron's a threat.
LeBron is a threat. We don't need that.
All I'm
just like,
saying
who
is,
was it?
That
Who
means
was
you
it?
don't want the
Who was
smoke.
it?
That
Who
means
was
you
it?
don't want the smoke on the court. That means you're gonna take the L in the series. I'm just telling you. That's what real killers think in their mind. I'm telling you.
I'm not.
You don't want the smoke on the court. You're not.
You gotta want.
You know what?
the smoke all the time.
I like seeing the smoke from Freddie. I like Freddie not
I
backing
love
down
Freddie.
to LeBron. I like that.
love Freddie.
I like
But
that.
why
He
does
wasn't
it come
gonna.
from Freddie though.
Hey,
You already know who it should be coming from. It can't be coming from Freddie. It can't be coming from a bench man.
speaking
You're
of the
gonna rate
smoke,
that.
I see a link right now of Draymond and Rondo talking smack. I love it that it's going down already. That's
Draymond don't
amazing.
want
The
that
Raptors,
smoke.
Instantly in Golden State.
The Raptors don't have that.
Look at that already talking.
The Raptors
smack.
don't have that fight in them.
They don't have it.
They don't have that fight in
You know
them.
what?
dog,
Hugh?
like Ola
that
says,
shows on the court, and that's why they're going to continue to take L's. That shows on the court. When you change your behavior from one series to the next, it's going to show.
Yeah.
He's looking at you like, bro, I don't remember. What did he say after winning that game? You know what? I'm gonna come game one and wing it. That's how a man's talking. Whoa.
That's basically what he said.
No, not
you know what?
basically.
You know
That's
what?
exactly what the
Like I
man said.
Him,
That's what he
JR,
said.
Love, Corver, they swept you guys last year. They should walk in here like
but you
they
know
should
what?
walk in here like, hey, the ACC's home.
I'm confused. You know what? Because I don't know. Maybe it's a millennial thing, but I just don't. And maybe I'm just an old head, but I just don't like this new NBA where guys are praising guys during series. I don't.
Yeah, that's
like
not
that.
cool. That's not
from
cool.
Lillard, I'm surprised that it came from Lillard. The man's praising his competition.
got swept too.
And
They got swept. Yeah, they got embarrassed. bad.
The last 2 years, Lillard's just been like I'm the most underrated
But
PG,
not even-
this and that.
But not even that. It's just a common thing with these younger players. The younger generation is praising guys during the series. That doesn't make sense to me.
Well-
But I think it's the old what they're talking about, the whole AAU thing where these guys are all friends and been playing against each other and with
Yeah.
each other since they were 14 years old.
It's a big deal. It's a thing.
But like I said, we are old. So,
Yeah.
Jordan and Barkley and Ewing were best friends, but when it came to ball time, Jordan was going to dunk on them.
Yeah. No, you're
For
right.
sure, 100%.
You're totally
They
right.
there was no like, okay, yeah, let's go get dinner after the game and all that. It might have happened, but there was no talk about that.
I think that's why we gotta respect Westbrook so much.
Yeah.
Because when it's game time, whether it's regular season,
I love
or playoffs,
Russ.
He's not about that.
What's the line? What's Russ? What's Russ? Last of a dying
The
breed.
last of a dying breed, man. I keep on telling people that, man.
The thing with me though, with you mentioned just everyone friending up and giving compliments to whoever on the other team and all that. Part of the reason why I wouldn't believe that the Raptors could beat LeBron James, and I mean, hey, it's only game one, right? Like they could turn it around, flip it around, and still run away with the series. But part of the reason why going in, I had a problem believing the Raptors could beat LeBron was because I don't know if you guys have these moments, but when you talk to Raptors fans or people who are ball fans and you're talking to a Raptors fan and you say something negative about the Raptors, you get called a hater. Right? Does that happen to you?
That's
That happens to me
general.
all the time. That's general. That's
in
life.
general.
That's life.
That's kind of like what he's saying. That's
But-
kind of what he's saying about
Exactly.
the millennials. That's what it is. You don't
My-
like something, they consider you a hater.
For sure.
That's how it
So
is.
so my thing within that, right, is that okay, so my opinion is I don't think the Raptors can beat LeBron, okay? But then when you get called a hater, my comeback is, wait a second. Go back to the last series that the Raptors played against Cleveland Cavaliers, and there was a press conference with with Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, and what happened? They're sitting up there, and they said, well, they had LeBron and we didn't. If we had LeBron, we would have won the series. That's from your two superstars. When I saw that last year, that's what got me cheese. That's when I was like, okay, we're in problems here. And then to follow that up, we're talking about Perk. They had that Area 21. Remember that? Did you guys catch that? They had the Area 21 with the old Celtics, and they were talking about that same post-game press conference, and it was Perk, Big Baby, Rondo was mad quiet, and KG and them, but they were saying, or I think it was Big Baby. Big Baby was saying, if I'm a bench guy, I can't look up to those guys. I can't look up to my leaders and hearing my leaders talk like that and say things like that and then, think that we're going to win the series.
Thank you.
Like, it's... I don't know. So if last year you were saying they had LeBron James and we didn't, they still have LeBron James this year.
You're right. Yeah. So from what I know from inside sources,
Oh.
that comment was taken out of context. But
What comment?
But
What comment?
They have
If we had LeBron, it
Of
was-
course,
right,
because
right. So,
your
what I'm gonna say-
man's Steven Jackson he went off on DeMar, and he said DeMar hit him up and said, because he went off on DeMar when DeMar said that last year.
That's Steven Jack, though.
Exactly. No, but Jack said that, DeMar hit him up and was
Jack,
like,
baby.
they took it was out of context. That's not really, when it's like, I saw you say the word, so I don't know how that gets taken out of
That's what I'm
context.
saying.
But okay.
Even if you're joking, even if whatever it is, when you're putting your sentence together, it's media training.
Yeah.
Those don't go together.
Yeah.
You don't
I'm
say it.
surprised. He's a Philly guy. I'm surprised that he actually said that. Because I
Well-
know Philly guys is listen, it's go hard or go home, period.
It was DeRozan that said it. Lowry was the one who didn't play in 3 of the last 4 games or whatever it was. No, in all reality though, that was the thing that got me with Kyle Lowry last year. The fact that he didn't even play in half of those games, because it was kind of like, I think it was his ankle.
Excuses.
It was his ankle. Because the thing that got me was I know it's unfair and we're piling on because it's easy to do after a loss like that. It's game 1.
Rap fans, no more excuses. They got to get the job done. That's just what
Foots.
it is.
What do we say, man?
Gotta
It's a
get
no
the
excuses
job done.
playoffs.
No excuses.
But it always is.
There's
And
no
I think-
excuses.
and I
None.
think- and I think you have to differentiate between fair weather. I mean, we live in Toronto.
Yeah.
that's true.
Bandwagon
You gotta-
city for
the
sure.
Bandwagon, fair weather. I'm a Blue Jay fan when they're winning. I'm a Raptor fan when they're winning.
I'm a Leafs fan
I'm a
when they're in
Leafs
the
fan when
playoffs.
they're winning.
Yo, the Leafs loss still hurts me. I can't lie, man.
The Raptors just pulled the Leafs. They had that game.
Yeah, they should.
Like LeBron James had a triple double, but he wasn't effective.
You didn't have a dominant triple
It
double.
wasn't a dominant. It wasn't a dominant you can't beat. Like he didn't have a great game.
For the psyche of the Toronto Raptors, they tricked off this game.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And
You-
they
and
don't
you
even have
can't.
to watch game tape.
And you
There's
can't.
no game tape you can watch. At the end of the day, do you want it or not? That's
Yeah.
what it comes down to.
Yeah. One thing just to break this up here, I just want to let people know as well. This is the Ball on Blast podcast, and we are doing the game 1 of the Raps post game show here, and we are live right now, live to tape at Clean Cuts Barbershop. If you ever need a haircut, come through on the Danforth ways. Danforth and Woodbine, 2013 Danforth Avenue. Come by and see Skip. Tell him that I sent you. Is that the line? That's the Jewel's line, yeah? Tell him that I sent him. Yeah, okay.
Shout out Skip, man. Shout
out to
Skip.
Skip.
Man.
Shout out the best.
But yeah, just to round that off though, right? I don't even know. There's no confidence. I have no confidence in the Raptors to win this series now. And I know they could still come back, win the next game. You're still 1-1. It's not a big deal. But overall, in terms of winning the series, to me, the Cavs are still looking at you guys like it's a play thing. The Cavs aren't taking you
Don't
guys
get it
seriously.
twisted.
But it's just like you said, until you see it. I mean, like I
until you
said,
see it, yeah.
we're not those fair weather fans. It's just
Yeah,
like,
sorry.
oh,
I interrupted you.
the Raptors had a record year and it's their year and da 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 da. Like we have all played sports, whether it's even if it's just at a high school level, at a high level, right? Whether it's basketball, hockey, so we understand. You have to understand sports. You can't just be, I watched basketball on TV. And
Yeah.
think everything Jack says is God sent.
Yeah.
Right?
Gold, right?
For sure. And the crazy thing to me, the craziest part of that to me is I always think that, the biggest problem with Raptors fans is they only watch Raptors games,
Right.
which isn't their fault because, League Pass, I was going to say something about cable, and I'm going to stop myself from saying that because obviously
I'll say it. You want me to
political, no. Political connects, I got to tiptoe around that.
Connects.
Political connects, I got to
Ask me
tiptoe
about
around
them.
that, right? But what I was going to say was, there's a rule in Canada, a lot of people probably don't know, but if a Raptors game's on, another channel is not allowed to show another basketball game. Right. So it's not at the same time. So it's not even Raptors fans' fault that they only get to see Raptors games, right? Like you have to go out of your way just to watch any other team play.
Yeah.
With that said,
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of Cavs basketball this year and seen like the up and down nature of what their team is. And it just comes down to if JR, if Corver, if Love hit shots, they're going to win. Because LeBron's going to do what LeBron does. George Hill gives them a body that can play defense. But they were winning mad games this year with Jose Calderon.
Exactly.
They beat the Raptors. Calderon had 20
Yeah,
points.
Calderon served.
You can't have that.
Calderon cooked. Calderon
You
cooked.
cannot have that.
Calderon
Serving
cooked.
up Kyle Lowry
This
on
is
the
old.
platter.
This is old Calderon.
Yo, Dunlop. I see Dunlop just joined in here and he gave hashtag cable is life. If you know who Dunlop is, that's my dude. That's my
Shout out my
dude.
man, Dunlop.
Political connects. Yes, sir. But, here's the thing. It's only game 1.
Right.
I'm overreacting. I'm not going to lie, but I never really
We're
thought the
not
Raptors
shitting
were
on
going to
the
win
Raps.
anyways.
I know people kind of, we're all Toronto boys, so maybe we want to see Toronto win. But it's going to take a lot more than what happened tonight.
I want to hear from Raptors fans just in terms of how worried they are, because I feel like they were confident heading in. And we know you said Toronto is fair weather city, and the first sight of something tough, they're going to cower and be like, oh no, same old Raps. And I wonder if that was the moment here in this game, watching that collapse, or if it's something where it's like, no, it's okay. It's just game one, getting the jitters out. This is the big boy matchup. Let's go. As a Raptor fan, how should you be feeling right now?
So I know you're looking at me since I'm the Raptor.
Oh, he turned back around to the Raptors.
So, my confidence level has gone down as everybody who's ever watched Raptors in the last 3 to 4 years, it should.
Yeah.
It should have gone down.
Yeah.
Because we've all seen this movie before.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, and that's the thing where it's like, I was confident. I thought this is the year we're going to see something different. Mm-hmm. Game one, we haven't seen nothing different.
That's crazy.
Who's it on most though?
The two superstars.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
I
agree with that.
I do agree, but I think Casey. I think it comes down to
being
everybody
outcoached?
who's been here before.
Think he's being out-coached
Yeah,
again?
no,
You could definitely
but
get
he was-
out-coached
but he
this
was-
game.
But he was out-coached in Washington.
Yeah.
Because
Lowry had
because-
18, DeRozan. Lowry had 18 on 6 of 12 shooting. DeRozan had 22 on
Not enough.
10 of
Not
20.
enough shots
Not
being
enough.
taken.
Yo,
for
22
Lowry.
points on 10 of 20
Not
shooting
enough.
is
Not
not good.
enough shots
That's
being
not enough.
taken.
I know he
No,
shot
you know,
50%.
but he's always that's DeRozan. He's a volume shooter. My thing with that is DeRozan's not LeBron James.
For
right?
sure.
So LeBron James is going to give you what LeBron James is going to give you.
I love that there's a garbage truck outside.
DeRozan has to. DeRozan, his job is to close that gap, and then when you look at the other players, on paper again,
Yeah.
Toronto is better.
Yeah.
So Lowry outscored George Hill. Valanciunas outscored.
Tristan Thompson and Kevin
outscored
Love.
Tristan and Kevin Love.
Yo, Kevin Love with 7 points on 3 of 13 shooting.
Yeah,
That is horrible.
Right? So
Horrible.
So we should have won that game.
Yeah.
But what we didn't get is Ibaka had 9 points.
Serge Ibaka, yep.
9 points, not enough.
Not enough.
Not
no.
enough.
Ibaka, I love you. African connection, but stop taking those off-screen shots.
My Nigerian brother, you gotta post up more. Bro.
Straight
Yo,
up.
that
Gotta post up more.
foul that got called on Serge, that bailout foul they called on
Phantom calls.
LeBron.
Phantom call.
I mean, Raptors fans, and I know that, again, I'm going to tiptoe around how I say this about the Raptors broadcast because I don't want to crush the Raptors broadcast because, again, political connects. But it does get kind of depressing sometimes when you see a play that, the refs make a bad call and it's against the Raptors and, like, they go crazy, and then it goes the other way, whereas you're watching it. Like, we're watching the replay. We see that it's a bad call against the Cavs, and everything's just quiet. That's kind of tough.
And
That's annoying.
and that's something that I guess it's kind of changed. Whereas, even in your hometown, now you might give them like 50, like a little advantage when you're calling the game.
Yeah.
But you're supposed to be neutral. You're supposed to be just calling the game from a basketball fan's point of view, not
Yeah.
from it's Raptors against the world.
Yeah.
And I mean, it happens in other cities too, because, when I listen to, ESPN radio or whoever radio, when I'm listening to games or whatever, or watching games, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But I remember before, it used to be neutral, where you're just calling basketball.
Right.
No, for
A
sure.
foul's a foul.
Yeah, of course.
A good shot's a good shot.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like LeBron makes the shot and all of a sudden, oh my God, heavens are raining.
Yeah.
think
He made a good shot.
I think Raptor fans, you got to realize that in this series, if a call doesn't get, if the refs make a bad call on LeBron,
Yeah.
they're gonna give him 2 more calls.
Yeah.
Well, how
Later
bad
on
was
in
it
the
for
game.
Indy, right? Like that Indy game
That's
was
just
bad.
what it is.
Yeah, the Indy game was
That's
bad.
just what it is. That's
Yeah.
like he said. We wish it was just a call is a call.
Yeah.
Everything was mutual, but
Yeah.
it's different. It's
It's-
different.
Especially with LeBron, like the small details and the small plays matter.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
small plays matter,
Definitely.
Yeah.
right? Because any missed opportunity, he's gonna come back and capitalize on it.
And that's what it is, because we were up 10, and all of a sudden,
That's
there's.
it.
I'm coming out. It's NBA basketball. Like, when was the last time you seen a 3-second call? Like 3
5
seconds.
second call. Did they have like a 5 second
There's
call?
a 5 second. There's the 2. One wasn't called. They called the other one. 5-second call. And it's just like,
I got a comment here from Jermaine that says, finally, some people keeping it a buck about Toronto sports fans and how shit the Raptors are. Hashtag we the North. Shout out to you, Jermaine. I don't know how much we said the Raptors are shit, but
Is that how they're
is that how we're taking it?
Yeah,
we're not here to hate on them. We're not here to. We're
die hard.
Like I said, we are sports fans. We are basketball fans.
I want the Raptors to win.
Played at some point. We've been watching ball since we were tykes.
Listen, man, I say it all the time. I want the Raptors to win. I work in the sports television industry in Toronto. The Raptors winning is good for business, right? Like, I want the Raptors to win. Yeah, I want the Raptors
These
to
guys
win.
just call me Club 411. I'm the party guy. When the Raptors or Leafs win something, you guarantee I'm gonna be downtown celebrating with them for 2 weeks. Right? For 2 weeks, whatever club we gonna be there, we gonna be popping bottles. I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it. I need it.
LeBron is the doubt, man. LeBron is the doubt.
LeBron is a problem still. LeBron is a problem for the
Can't
Raptors. The
ignore
Raptors
that.
have LeBron problems, and I don't know if that changes. I don't know if, like, the craziest stat, and I said this on our last podcast, right, that I had with Webby, but I'll say it again this time for the live audience here that's listening to us. There's a stat from the Pacer series. Sorry, I drew a blank there. From the Pacer series, and it's second spectrum, and they chart how fast someone is moving on the court. They chart all your movements, right? So they break it up into 3 intervals, and it's fast, medium, and slow, okay? I watched game 4 against the Pacers, and I was watching that game thinking, hold on, LeBron, like, is not even trying. Like, he's chilling. And he finished with a triple-double, and he was, like, chilling for the whole third quarter. I think he had 1 point in the third quarter, never subbed off, but he played the whole second half. Then the next day I see the stat, and it says second spectrum looked at LeBron's movements. When they divided it up, he spent 75% of the time basically walking on the court.
I'm not surprised.
6% of the time going all out. And if I don't know what the numbers are for this game, but LeBron messed around and got a triple-double with 27, 13, and 11 or whatever I said it was.
Triple-double. Wasn't even a dominant.
Think about what we're saying. Hold on. Think about what we're saying.
In the third and fourth quarter.
So my thing is, you got to make LeBron play defense. You got to make LeBron run up and down. You got to play the bench and push the pace and run up and down. Because when he gets to just walk the ball up the floor and he gets to dictate the pace, it's lights out.
It's a wrap. That's all
It's
Olo's
lights
saying.
out.
Yeah.
He's saying, Ola was saying that in the third. He's walking the ball up. He's dictating the pace. You don't want that.
Also, too, he doesn't have to play defense. Right? He's floating on
You don't have to
defense.
play defense because there's no Bogdanovich on the other end going at him.
Yeah, Bogdanovich tried. He ran out of gas, but he tried. He gave him a go. He gave him a go.
That far because of that.
Yeah,
You have
you're
to
right.
have somebody going at LeBron at
You're
the
right.
same time as that you're supposed to be running them up and
Indiana-
down.
And then they
Indiana
have
always had a
Stevenson
pass.
coming off the
Exactly.
bench.
Come on, and then
Rattling
they have
him.
Lance coming off the bench, and you already know what Anthony Lance is on. So
That's
come
on the
on.
bullshit.
Don't
We
worry,
know
Lance
what
gonna
Lance
get
is on.
paid.
Bullshit.
Lance gonna get
Lance
paid.
is from the BK, and he fears no man.
That's
gonna
not
get
bullshit.
paid.
Come on. There's guys on the Raptors that still fear LeBron.
For sure. For sure.
It's crazy. There's guys on the Raptors that praise LeBron and fear him. That's an L, guys. What are you talking about? I'm just saying. I'm not trying to kill the Raptors. I just think in reality.
No, that's
Yeah.
a fact, though.
It's
and if
tough.
you fear a man and you praise a man, you've already lost him before you enter the gym.
So I want to ask you guys about something because I had a long discussion about this at work with a couple people, and it was last series against the Wizards, and there was a sequence where Markieff Morris or whichever Morris twin, because I always get them wrong.
That's Markieff,
Whatever
yeah, Markieff.
Markieff is on the Wizards, I literally get them wrong all the time, and I just give up. So I don't even try to pretend to know which is which.
They're the same nigga anyways.
Basically.
Basically. Same tactics.
Same goon tactics.
Same goon tactics.
But the one on the Wizards, he got up, and I guess someone said something to him on the Raptors bench, and he walked over to the Raptors bench in the middle of all of them, dolo by himself and went in OG's face and pointed in OG's face saying something just like this. And I'm only doing this for the description for the people watching.
Yo.
And then a security guy, a Raptor security guy, kind of like ushered him away. And OG just kind of moved his head. And I was like,
A man has to
whoa.
a man has to get thrown on the team.
Right? Someone's got to take a tech. I was like, these are the things that...
That happened in Toronto too?
No, it's in Washington.
Washington?
It's in Washington. I'm pretty sure it was game 6, if I'm not mistaken. That might have been game 6.
The fact is, he should have been able to left the arena without an issue.
Somebody's got to say something. I'm not saying
before
you
the ball
fight,
gets thrown back
what it
in.
is.
but I'm not saying
You
you got to
get back- you
fight.
got-
Nobody
But
fights
is
in the
that
NBA.
not-
I'm not
is
saying
that-
that. But
is-
someone at least got to like push him out of the
Is
way.
that not Ibaka? Is that not Ibaka's job?
Yo, Ibaka was standing right there. He's in the camera shot too. And he's
That's
just
not,
watching.
that's not Ibaka's. That's not Ibaka's job.
Ibaka's a touch me first type of person.
Well, in that
I
case,
feel
in
like
that case,
Ibaka
in that
is.
case,
I'll say this: Ibaka
Big
is
Jam
very.
Big Jam need to take off the suit jacket and get
way.
back in the fray.
No way.
Nobody wants those
Serge
Big
is
Jam
brought-
problems.
Serge is brought in. He's supposed to be our tough guy, our enforcer.
Yeah.
He has to take that. He has to get kicked out of the game. Bottom line. 'Cause look at another example now. Mr. Green for Houston in a regular season game. Come on, a man
Chris
even,
Paul.
a man
Chris
even
Paul
breathe
situation.
on Chris Paul.
Yeah.
He gets tossed to the ground
So
immediately.
you
Man
say
could not even. Man
so
could
you
not
say we
even.
He
need-
didn't even breathe on CP.
So you
Man
say
gets-
so you're saying we need to go sign some hood guys.
Listen, a
Yeah,
man
we
could
need
not,
to go sign
man
a hood-
could not
we need to
even
go sign a
look
hood
at
guy.
Vince Carter the wrong way.
So we had
Oak
Charles
was
Oakley,
there.
right?
Charles Oakley and
Oakley.
Antonio Davis were
That's
here.
a diff.
was
No,
there.
it's Oakley. Come on, we don't know about Oakley, man.
true.
Vince are going to,
We
they're
all
going
know
to
about
sleep.
Oakley, man.
They're
I
going
seen
to
Oakley.
sleep.
I seen Oakley in the club a couple weeks ago, and too many people were up in his face, and the man
But that's
took care of business.
That's the,
Oak-
but that's,
Oak is-
but
Oak is
that's the
Oak.
toughness
Oak
we're
is Oak.
talking. That's the toughness we're talking about.
It's simple.
The
Of
Raptors
course.
lack that.
Yeah.
The whole NBA lacks that.
Yeah.
There are a few guys, but the whole NBA
Even
lacks that.
even when
Oh, they're all on the same team then.
exactly even back in the day,
Yeah.
dudes can't touch rock.
Hold
Even
on.
when I
but
was-
But that's the.
Can you imagine?
Even when I was playing, they couldn't.
Yeah.
Kingsley or Tristan?
Yeah,
nah,
yeah,
man,
yeah.
you're gonna sleep right
Yeah.
away. That's just what it was.
Yeah.
And we don't see that. You don't gotta put dudes to sleep, but
No.
they shouldn't even be able to get that far. Your hands
There's a
shouldn't be able
line.
to reach that. There's a line.
Yo, and it was a
There's line.
straight
There's a line.
disrespecting.
There's boundaries.
Exactly.
There's no
And men
boundaries.
Exactly.
there's no boundaries.
But ain't the man from
Imagine if
Compton?
someone. Imagine if someone tried to.
How
No,
did the man
DeRozan
get
I
out
think
of
was on the
Compton?
court. I think DeRozan and them were on the court. But my main point is, imagine Perkins being on the bench and someone trying to do that.
Look what Perkins is doing. Is
The man was in a suit.
He's not even
He's not
active.
street clothes. He was in a
Not even
suit.
active.
The man was in a three-piece.
So to put that in perspective now, I can't have that. I can't have Van Fleet showing me toughness.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I can't.
Yeah.
You need
For
the
sure.
superstars to step up.
For sure.
You got to.
No,
Not even the superstar. Those
like-
two, Serge Ibaka.
No, but we no. At the end of the day, other than Valanciunas, nobody did their job tonight.
I mean,
I don't think anybody did their job. I mean, yet DeRozan led the team, but he had 22, and in the fourth quarter,
It's
he
proven.
didn't come through.
It's proven. When DeRozan has less than 24, it always ends in a Raptor loss. It's proven. When Kyle Lowry has less than 24, it always ends up in a Raptor loss.
yeah.
You're right.
You got to take that L.
You're right.
Just like
Come
tonight.
on.
And
Here's my thing is with the Raps, and you look at the stat line and you see what's going on there. Paul Pierce, who I know Raptors fans really dislike Paul Pierce a lot because Paul Pierce is a hater, but he stays true to who he's calling, right? Who he's calling out.
but he
he
also
says-
backed it up on the court, though.
For sure.
my
The one
line.
thing I give Paul Pierce credit for heading into the playoffs, he talked about, being a superstar. And this is why I'll always rep athletes who are then become analysts, right? Because they did it, right? Like, I can't argue with you because you actually did it. I'm sitting on my couch watching. And Paul Pierce said, as a superstar, if I average 20 in the regular season, that's got to go up to 25 in the playoffs. If I average 25, that's got to go up to 30 in the playoffs, right? Like, he's like, that's just a mentality of a superstar. So he was saying, in the playoffs, Lowry, you got to get to over 20. DeRozan, you got to average over 30. That's just what it is when it comes down to playoff time. And as I look at these numbers,
Superstars not performing.
Lowry
man.
makes 18, scores 18. He makes 30 mil a year. Now,
Those-
we saw in the last series, they tried to say, I know you're a Stephen A. Smith guy. I know you're a Stephen A. guy. Stephen A. was in the locker room after the Raptors lost game 5. No, what game did the Raptors lose? Was it game 5? No, game 4. It was game 4. Sorry. It was game 4. After they lost game 4 in Washington, Stephen A. Smith was in the Raptors locker room, and he said he went over to Kyle Lowry and DeRozan. He's talking to them, and he's like, they were relaxed. They were calm. They weren't worried at all. They weren't affected. And he asked them, what happened? Like, how did you guys look like you were in charge of the series? All of a sudden you come here, and then it goes the other way. And he said Lowry was just calm, and he just pointed at Fred VanVleet. That was his answer. And Stephen A. was like, oh, okay, I guess they really do miss him. Now, we see what happens in Game 6, but my question to you guys is, are you okay with your star point guard that you're paying $30 million to having to rely that heavily on the backup point guard for the team's success?
Third string point guard.
I got a theory.
He's not the third string. He's not the third. He's a backup point guard.
VanVleet came in this year as the third string point guard and climbed the mountain.
He did.
We can't curse on this, right?
Of course he can.
There's a theory about Kyle Lowry. There's a theory.
Okay.
This is my theory. And I'll tell you the theory next game if he doesn't go over 30.
Okay.
Playoff time,
Yeah.
he's been so haunted by the curse the last 2-3 years.
It's getting to him. It's in his head.
It's getting to him. So when you see him on the bench just chilling, relaxed, he's like, oh, I don't gotta worry. I was watching an interview this year, All-Star Weekend, when he said to Alvin Williams,
Oh, yeah.
my goal is to make DeMar DeRozan an All-Star this year. I think he's doing that for a reason, to take the load off from playoff time. So we'll know next game if he doesn't have
how he comes out, if he balls out, how he balls out.
We'll know. I see him super relaxed. The last, 6 minutes, he took 1-3. This guy's known for coming up, shimmy, bap.
Yeah.
He's known for that.
Yeah.
He's relaxed. He doesn't want the pressure on him. That's what I think, man.
It's tough. The other thing, and I got to shout out McCalla for this. He's been on this for the whole year. Just in terms of how, and we don't know this, but maybe it's a lot easier, let's say, for you to accept the take a step back role after you get paid $30 million. Right? So it's like, because they weren't really down with this whole bench mob and all this, like DeMar and Kyle, hey, you're going to have less shots, you're going to take less minutes.
He's the only one that needed convincing.
But it's a lot easier after they just paid you $30 million. You're like, all right, sure, yeah, you guys do what you want to do.
But he's the only one, I bet he's the only one.
Yeah.
That Dwayne Casey had a hard time getting that idea.
Yeah, in that same interview I was telling you about, he said that, there was a moment, I think Zach Lowe wrote a piece where he said that there was a moment early in the season where Kyle and DeMar came to them and were like, I don't really think this is working. And the coaches were like, no, give it some time, let it play out, trust us, like this, for us to succeed long term, this is how we have to play.
It's Masai's plan.
And again, the problem with that is in the playoffs, you
million.
better guess right on who you're riding with down the stretch. Because if you guess wrong and then you just try to bring in Fred with 5 seconds left.
Wasn't that part of the reason you played the bench so much? So that when the playoffs came, these guys had their legs
are fresh. Yeah. But instead, you're right. But instead, what ended up happening is you now rely on them too much. Because the hidden part of the Raptors season, to me, was I'd have to look up to see what the exact number is, but I'm pretty sure the Raptors during the regular season, and I'm going to extend how long I talk as I look up the stat, but I'm pretty sure the Raptors during the regular season in games decided by 5 points or less, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure their record was 5-7 during the regular season, right? And you got to think about a team that won 59 games. Yeah, a team that won 59 games during the regular season, but you were only 5-7 in games decided by 3 points or less. That tells me that in close games, right? And you got to think, if you watch these Raptors games and what was happening, either the starters are down and the bench brings them back, or the starters have a lead and that lead goes from 5 to 10 or from 10 to 15 and it's lights out.
You're right, but I think again, it's basketball and you got to know your players. So DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry are rhythm shooters.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you're playing your bench 15, 20 minutes, giving these guys extended minute breaks, you can't expect them to come back into the game and just go off.
For sure.
It very rarely happens.
Overall thoughts, we're going to wrap up a little soon, but I just want to get overall thoughts just in terms of who do you think needs to step up the most heading into next game? And who was your X factor of tonight's game? I'll start with you, Q. Who's your X factor first of this game?
So the X factor of this game was Kyle Korver. Kyle Korver did what Kyle Korver was there to do.
Yeah.
And not shoot threes.
Yeah.
And like I said before, like transition defense, the one person on the Cavs at that point that you have to find is Kyle Korver.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I agree.
Who needs to step up the most heading into the next game, though?
Everybody wearing a Toronto Raptors jersey.
It's just that easy, eh?
Like I said, Valanciunas, like, I mean, 21 and 21. It's crazy,
monster.
right? It's a monster game,
Right?
right?
That's for much more.
You can't really ask for much more. The only thing I can ask from him is to just make layups
Or dunk it.
or dunk it. Like, but that's not. He shouldn't even be making layups. No finger rolling. Just dunk the ball. At least go up strong. They have to foul you.
Yeah,
Because you're bigger and stronger than everybody on the court.
Mr. Beals, I'm going to go to you next, and I'm going to ask you, who is your X factor of this game just now?
I'm with you, man.
Corver.
Corver.
I'm going to bring game ball to Corver.
You know what? Him and J.R. Smith.
Yeah.
I would share with both of them.
Okay. You was it you talking earlier about Chris Webber? And Chris Webber said that he would let Kyle Korver go 0 for 50, just keep shooting.
Right? Because it gives other people. I guess I was wrong. You were right. Because he was hitting it tonight.
Yo,
He was hitting it tonight.
one of the games against the Pacers, it was the same thing. They started out so slow, and Korver and Kevin Love were just bricking shots. Kevin Love continued to brick shots, but then at the end of the game, LeBron ran those 2 sets for Korver just coming off the curl.
Yeah.
Banged in back-to-back threes.
Same.
LeBron hit a layup, game
It's
over.
the same. It's the same thing with anything in terms of sports.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna run that. Doesn't matter what sport it is. Can you stop it?
Yes.
That's what it is.
You know what-
Over and
yeah,
over and
yeah,
over
yeah,
again.
yeah,
Can
yeah.
you stop it?
Yeah.
The answer is no.
Yeah.
And eventually, Korver's going to hit it.
Who needs to step up the most for you next game?
Kyle Lowry.
Kyle
He
Lowry.
needs to be more aggressive.
Okay.
He's the leader of the team. People say DeRozan. I think Kyle Lowry's the leader
Yeah.
of the team.
Yeah.
Vocally and physically, he's the leader of the team. He runs the team.
Yeah.
So he has to step up. That's just my opinion.
I got you. Oh, what are you saying? Who are you giving your game ball to? Is it Kyle Korver as well or JR? Who are you going with?
I'm giving it to the Brampton boy, Tristan Thompson, man.
Yeah.
He gets the game ball, man. The last 2 games, man. Like, dude, look outside of his personal life, the dude didn't have a great season.
Yeah.
Let's keep it a buck, Toronto, man. The man looks tired, bro.
Yeah.
Real talk.
Yeah.
And for him to come up and scoop up these last 2 games, dude, you got to give it up to him.
And a
Highly
very
from TMZ's
hostile-
hard work, man. Highly from TMZ's hard work, man. They're everywhere.
In a very hostile
In a
environment,
very
too,
hostile
right?
environment. And they're yelling, you know what I mean? What they're yelling out in the crowd is crazy, man. I couldn't even imagine that.
Yeah.
And the man stepped up, made the free throws in the clutch.
Yeah.
The man's grabbing offensive rebounds,
Yep.
getting extra
everywhere.
possessions. That contract that he got, he earned it. He earned it tonight, and he's earned it the last 2 games, man. So I'm giving him the game ball.
Definitely true.
Now who needs to step up?
Who's stepping up?
I gotta go. You know, it comes down to Kyle and DeMar.
Yeah.
Those 2 guys got to step up, man.
Yeah.
It's just the bottom line of what has to happen for them to win. They
Do
got
you-
to step up.
Do you think they win on Thursday? Wow, there's a lot of pauses going on right here. I'm just saying, nobody said right away, yes, they bounce back and win. Nobody. I was looking for what do you?
Game one is.
You know what? I'm gonna put it out on a limb. I think the Raptors win because I think LeBron takes a mental game off. I think he takes a mental game off. I think they win.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think the Raptors win.
Okay.
Game one is so pivotal for them to make a statement.
Yeah.
They needed. They didn't just need this win. They needed this win by 20.
Yeah. I
I'm
thought so
giving
too.
them the game 2 win because, you know, heads will
It's
roll.
do or die.
Heads will roll if they get swept again.
I mean,
Right?
you can't get swept again. That is true. You
can't-
cannot get
you
swept
can't
again.
get swept again.
You can't get swept again.
Not,
Heads
not,
will
not
roll.
against this Cavaliers team.
Heads or roll, players will get traded. Definitely.
That's how it should be.
Coaches will get fired.
That's
I
That's
mean,
how it should be. But I don't know.
last
man.
year
It's
was a
not-
culture
Raptor
reset.
faithful.
I mean, and they didn't really make much moves. And
Right.
if you're talking about people's heads rolling, I guess you're talking about Dwayne Casey, and we know that Stackhouse is getting.
I wasn't talking about doing case.
Oh,
You might need that. Brendan. You might need that. You might need that Maple Leafs thing.
I was talking about $30 million getting shipped out of town
who?
because
I agree. I agree with
because-
you. I won't even. I keep it.
because
Keep it a buck.
Yeah, you have to.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
keep it a buck.
Come on.
And if we don't,
I'm gonna keep it a buck.
and not to
Like,
cut you off, if we're not gonna play Norman Powell, let's get rid of him, please. Please.
Norm had a
That's
lot of
42.
chances this
That's
year,
42
though,
on the
man.
bench. That's 42 mil on
true.
the bench.
It's true.
And he's 6'7"
true.
athletic.
You're right,
He's
too,
a
because
body.
there's going to be a lot of decisions to be made because you're paying Norm and he's not playing.
And get rid of that.
Kyle
next
makes
Brazilian
30.
Center. Who is that guy?
Oh, Bebe?
he's a free agent.
Gotta get
anyway.
rid of
He's out.
Yeah, Bebe's done.
Go ahead.
My X factor, I just see Dunlop chiming in here. He says Lowry has to step up, and Tristan was tonight's X factor. I agree. I'm joining with Foots and Dunlop. I'm saying Tristan was
Dunlop.
the X factor.
Shout out. I see you, baby.
Tristan was the X factor just because, again, hostile environment, but you're playing in your hometown.
Finally got some
Obviously,
home
there's
cooked
a
food.
lot of stuff going on with him off the court, so I can't even imagine
No,
how.
Chloe can't cook, so you gotta get some home cooked food from
Yo,
mom.
this guy just crazy.
Must have been a
Yo, jeez. I'm trying to talk about basketball right now,
No,
man.
it's the truth. Come
I'm just
on,
trying to
man.
talk.
Let's be real.
I don't know what
wonder if there
homegirl
was a
does,
Kardashian
yo.
in the building.
Yo, I don't know what homegirl does, yo. I don't know. I don't know all that. I'm just saying that Tristan balled out. He is proving what the difference maker he can be because the Cavs kind of lack those intangibles, right? Like someone hustling and getting those rebounds and doing all those things where when they had to play LeBron at the 4 all the time, that's tough because LeBron's not doing that. He's trying to chill and rest and you know, do his thing on that factor.
LeBron knows he's going to the finals.
If who I'm going to say has to step up, it's the
like LeBron
Raptors
knows,
coaching staff and Dwayne Casey. And the reason why I say that is because we saw adjustments that the Cavs made down the stretch in terms of putting LeBron on Kyle Lowry down the stretch to stop that whole move where Lowry and DeRozan run the pick and roll, the switch there. We just saw adjustments made by the Cavs that we didn't really see earlier on in the series. And I'm interested to see what the counter is going to be from Dwayne Casey because, again, someone said this and I'm stealing it from them and I want to give them credit. It was Brian Windhorst. I think it was Brian Windhorst, Cavs beat writer. But he said, come playoff time. No, it wasn't. It was Zach Lowe. Sorry. He said, come playoff time, the biggest key for the Raptors. You have your bench, but you're not going to play your bench like that. You're going to know, you need to know down the stretch when the game is on the line, you need to know who you're going to. And clearly tonight where you're seeing it went from OG to Serge to CJ Miles to then Fred to come off the bench with 5 seconds left to hit a game-winning shot. That
what we
can't
said.
happen.
And then-
You need to
yeah.
play Fred because you need another creator on the floor. Someone else who can create their own shot and hopefully knock down a shot, but you don't even want them to just sit in the corner and shoot threes. So I'm looking for the adjustment there, but yes.
And then
Closing
when-
thoughts,
and then-
anything?
And then when you have something that's effective, like Tristan picked up his game as Valanciunas went to the bench.
Also true.
Valanciunas had 20 rebounds by the end of the third quarter.
Well, you have to remember he got maybe like 5 of them on tip-ins that he missed. I'm just saying. But anyways,
right, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you're
Anyways, I'm just saying.
You're right, but right, and you know Siakam was doing a very effective job
Yeah,
on LeBron,
yeah.
and then you brought OG back in the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's a rookie.
For sure.
Kyle's got to be if Kyle gets put in a situation
Mm-hmm.
where LeBron's guarding him,
Yeah,
he's got to be aggressive.
for sure.
He has to be.
He has to be aggressive. He does.
LeBron wasn't even
Because
playing
the-
defense
the-
really.
it's-
Which is
that's-
what you got to give Oladipo credit for. Oladipo didn't care
this
when
is the
LeBron
thing,
was guarding him. He tried.
LeBron, I'm a LeBron fan, but the fact is this:
Mm-hmm.
defensively, LeBron's not quick on his feet.
He's not as
So
quick
he's
as he
very
was. No,
capable
he's lost a
of
step
getting beat,
for sure.
right? And Kyle Lowry, he's not the fastest point guard, but he's good enough to get that step, put a little body in him,
Exactly.
get the and one. But he
We
just
seen
wasn't
highlights where he
aggressive.
did that at the beginning
Yeah,
of the game.
yeah,
Took it to the basket.
No, for sure. For sure. Fellas, this was pretty good. I'm going to explain a little bit of what's going on here. So we're going to try to do this after each game this series. We'll have a rotating cast of characters because people are busy. People have busy schedules. So when we can, we'll get together. I'll be here with as an assortment of faces, but for sure you guys will be back, and we'll be doing this live on Twitter and on Periscope. But after that, you'll be able to find this link on my Twitter page, but also I'll share it out. It'll be on Blast podcast feed, which you can find on iTunes, which you can find on SoundCloud as well, and you will find this video on YouTube as well. All of these things I'll share out either tonight or probably in the morning because, you know, I might need to sleep at some point. But This was a lot of fun, guys. I had a lot of fun doing this. You guys have fun?
Yes,
Thank you
no
for having
doubt.
us.
Thanks.
Share your
Thank you.
socials. Share your socials. Where can the people follow you if they want to get more of your takes on the Raptors or NBA or whatever else you got going on in your life?
Man, you can check me out at DDS,
DDS
on
Caps.
Instagram, at
Okay.
DDS Cap, sorry, on Instagram. And you can check personally at Eastside O
Okay.
on Instagram as well.
For me, at Beals BTMG on Twitter and Instagram.
Same with me. I'm on DDS Caps. We're both, one of us will be on it. DDS Caps at DDS Caps on Instagram.
Okay.
DDS Caps.
Yeah. DDS Caps. I got you.
One last thing. Big up my boy Miller.
Yes.
We see you, Miller.
Miller's on there.
Mr.
Yes, yes.
Mr. OGV. I don't know who that is, but shout out to you as well. I see a Mr. Lambs. Shout out to you for watching. Ghost.
Yeah. Big up Proudly
I
Johnny.
see Webb. I see Webb was making some comments earlier. Big up Webb.
Sorry, I missed the comments. As we get better at all this, like for people that don't know, to put you behind the scenes, like I'm trying to like cut cameras, I'm trying to listen to audio, I'm trying to ask questions, trying to do a lot of things at the same time. So apologies if I didn't get to your questions, but next time, I promise I will do that. My name is Sheldon Alexander. You can find me on Twitter at Shell Alexander and on Instagram at Sheldon Alexander. And as always, this is the Ball on Blast podcast, special Raps post-game playoff edition. I think that's what I'm going to call it. Can the Raptors win game 2? I don't know. Find out, but we'll be here to talk about it. As always, like my man Pusha T says, unpolished and unapologetic. We are the Ball on Blast podcast. See ya.
Peace.
This is Ball on Blast, Raps post-game playoff edition. Part of the On Blast Podcast Network. Available on iTunes, SoundCloud and YouTube. If you like it, then subscribe and tell your friends. Holla.
On blast.